this is for the viola part of Star Dancer. We're going to break this down into 6 smaller chunks and see what we can get accomplished with this. In the first chunk, this would be from measures 1 until 11. We have those double stops at the beginning, and then we have the series of rests. So for the double stops, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have your bow elbow high enough that it can reach the C string, and then you're going to relax your bow wrist so that it is touching both strings at the same time. So high enough for the C string, relax down so it's touching both C and G at the same time. Okay? Then after that, like in measure 3, we have 2 beats of rest. Okay? On that one, we do have our lift set. When you look at measure 4, there's only 1 beat rest, and after that, we have a push bow. Okay? So what I'm going to suggest that you think is on the measures with 2 beats rest and a lift set, that you think the words lift set. 2 words, 2 rests. That will help your brain match up what you want it to do. Okay? Now in the one, like in measure 4 and measure 6, when you have just the 1 rest and a push bow after it, I suggest you think the word push. And that again will be training your brain not only to have a 1 beat rest there, but to push after that beat rest. Okay? This is what that would look like. If we were to start at 3, lift, set, push. Lift, set, push. Okay? So that's how I suggest you count that through there. Make sure those lift sets are going all the way to the frog, not kind of, sort of, maybe at the frog. Okay? Alright, so let's do that chunk. This is from measure 1 until square 11. 1, 2, ready, go. Lift, set, push. Lift, set, push. Okay, make sure you have those slurs at the beginning of measure 8 and measure 9. And then also, looking at measure 10, we have 2 accents. Remember, an accent is adding a little bite to the beginning sound. So what you're going to do with your bow, you're going to lean a little bit extra onto your index finger, your hey you finger, a little extra, so we have kind of like a ping-pong sound to the beginning of the note. Okay? All right, our next chunk is from 11 until 19. We have the same idea of counting our rests very carefully. Now, if you look in between your notes, you have 4 beats rest. Like from measure 11 and measure 12, your first note in 11, you have 4 beats rest, and then you have your notes in 12. What I suggest you think there is rest, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Because that is your 4 counts. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Those are 4 counts of rest. Now, make sure that you're not thinking rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, because that adds up to 5. Okay? So rest, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Then we have the same ending with those slurs at the end. Make sure you have those slurs. Let's do that from 11 until 19. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, rest. Okay? And again, we have those accents. Now you'll notice at the end of measure 18, there is a lift set marking there, but we don't need a lift set. So I'm going to suggest that you think of that as like our breath marking, like what we did when we were getting ready for solo and ensemble, how we did the goldfish breath to get everyone ready and set for the next note. So on the last note of 18, or the rest on 18, where you have that lift set marking, go ahead and breathe there. That way the whole orchestra is going to start very cleanly together at 19. And so we'll, instead of thinking lift set, we're going to think breathe for that marking. If you were in choir, that's exactly how they would mark the spot to breathe, is with that apostrophe lift set looking marking. Okay? All right, our next spot. This would be from 19 until 27. We have our eighth notes, which remember you want to use smaller bows. That's going to keep it nice and clean when you put it with the large ensemble. And then you have those dotted half notes. Okay? You have the one in 21 And then after that, we have a quarter note tied to a half note. And if you think about a quarter note being 1 beat and a half note being 2 beats, which sounds like 3 beats. It's going to sound like a dotted half note, even though it's written out a little differently. Okay? So through that, this is measure 21 and measure 2. Make sure you're thinking 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Quarter, quarter. Okay? Here, let's start at 20 and just do those half-notey measures. This is measures 20, 21, and 22. Okay? This is what it should sound like. Starting at 20. 1, 2, ready, go. Half note, quarter, quarter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Okay? Make sure you're counting very carefully. Don't do it by ear, because if you do it by ear, you will make a mistake. And if you count, you will always be right. All right? Let's try that. This is from 19 until 27. 1, 2, ready, go. Half note, quarter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Okay? 27 starts our next chunk, 27 to 35, has the same exact idea, just slightly different notes. Okay, make sure that in 29 and 30 you're still counting your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, let's try it. 27. 1, 2, ready, go. See if you get your arm up all the way for those double stops at 33. Now if you look at 33 and the measures following it, it really is the same exact thing as the beginning. Okay, so we're going to apply the same sort of things where you have your double stops with your arm up, you're counting your 2 measure or 2 beat rests like lift, set, and then the 1 beat rest as the push. Okay, all those things that we did at the beginning, we're going to apply to the second half of this piece. Okay, so let's try it. I'm actually going to start at 33, even though that kind of overlapped with the last chunk. We're going to start at 33, and I'm going to go until 43. Okay? Here we go. 33, right on those double stops. Make sure your bow arm is nice and high. 1, 2, ready, go. Lift, set, push. Lift, set, push. Same thing with those slurs at the beginning of measure 40 and the beginning of measure 41. Same exact thing as before. All right, this is our last chunk from 43 until the end. We have our plucking. We don't have very much time to switch from the bowing to the plucking, so if you don't have time to collapse your bow hold into your plucking where you can anchor your thumb, keep your bow hold, stick your index finger out, and if your wrist is up, you can keep your bow hold, but with your index finger sticking out, pluck with that 1 finger. And then you don't need to collapse and switch your bow hold to the pits. Okay? All right, starting at 43. Counting those rests very carefully. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest. And make sure that last measure has those accents. You're going to scoop your index finger down in the string, scoop, 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 so that you are really getting a nice sharp bite to that sound. Okay? All right, so if you cover all those things, knowing where your lift sets are and where they're not, counting your rests, bow arm up nice and high for those 8th notes, and then counting your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, you'll be just fine. All right, see you in class.